to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Gray here.
Gary's here.
Tommy here. Cummings here.
Dolphin here.
And I have in front of me a verification of the proof of proper meeting notices. So that takes us to the action of the agenda. Everybody should have the agenda in front of them. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
None.
I so move for approval.
Is there a second? We ran it like. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and a second by, a motion by Charlie on the floor and a second by Chad to approve the agenda as posted. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, and we have a couple of meeting minutes to approve from Wednesday, September 10th.
Cummings will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 10th.
I'll second.
Can I just clarify, Sarah, are you moving to approve both open and closed or just open?
I will approve both open and closed from September 10th.
And Chad will still second, okay? So we have a motion on the floor to approve both our meeting minutes from open session on September 10th and closed session on September 10th. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you for being so efficient.
Oh, yes.
Presentations to the board. Our athletic director is here to give us an update.
And Brandon's online, yes.
Brandon?
I am here.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Little update of what I've been doing since the start. Over my first few months, I've been focusing on getting to know our coaches, faculty, staff, students, athletes, and community members. Building those relationships has been a priority as I continue to learn the ins and outs of this position. Some updates and highlights regarding scheduling. Sorry, hold on. You gotta go upstairs, Daddy. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Regarding scheduling, I've worked on finalizing the schedules for the upcoming seasons and have already started scheduling for our fall sports next school year. I have streamlined the scheduling processes and spreadsheets to make those more efficient too as far as scheduling goes. Transportation, communicating regularly with our bus provider, which has been a challenge and an important area of focus. We've had a lot of last minute changes that they've sent to me, but we've been able to make everything work. Coaches held our first coaches meeting in August, continuing to support, connect with our coaches as we prepare for winter sports as well now and finish up fall sports. Still working through some finding and retaining coaches continues to be a challenge across the state. If any of you are interested in coaching Davy basketball, please let me know. Weight room and culture change has been a big push since I started. Getting our student athletes committed to the weight room. This is essential for on-field and on-court success as well as injury prevention. Our coaches are fully bought in and we're actively working to change the culture around strength and conditioning. I've been volunteering during flex time on Wednesday as well to supervise the weight room. Just trying to give the kids an extra opportunity to lift. We've had some other coaches volunteering on different days as well during that flex time, so the kids can be around more coaches and see that it's important to all of us. We are discussing how to ensure all athletes can get the weight room at least twice a week without having to necessarily cut into practice time or limit them to before or after school. Student leadership, our SALT team will have our first meeting tomorrow, and the goals with that are building a stronger student section and game day atmosphere, expanding community involvement, elementary outreach, pre-day recess events, high fives for kids at busing are some of the ideas that I've come up with, but I will try to get some more ideas from our high school kids on how we can be around the elementary and middle school kids more. Promoting positive leadership, sportsmanship, and team culture, some other goals of the SALT team. 180 program, in November, our conference will participate in the 180 program. Each school will bring 8 students along with the high school principal and AD for a one-day event focused on sportsmanship. A movement started in 2015 to create a culture bigger than wins and losses, where athletes, coaches, parents, and fans can all commit to enhancing the student-athlete experience through consistent and positive support. Communication improvements. We've updated our communication system with coaches and players. All our coaches are now using the Remind app with students and parents added, and also have access to Google Classroom. This creates a safer and more efficient way to share information. Social media oversight. I started an X account. I started an Instagram account. Haven't been posting on that one, but X and Facebook I have been. Admin team over the summer decided to consolidate all our athletic updates to these platforms for better oversight rather than having each individual team post separately. This provides better consistency, accountability, and visibility for Waterloo athletics. Professional development for myself. I've been attending our monthly capital conference AD meeting, participating in monthly booster club meetings, attended the WIAA regional AD meeting last month, and I have the WADA annual state conference coming up the second week of November. Some daily challenges is part of this role is managing the unexpected. On a daily basis, I'm problem solving, working a lot with our admin team, whether that means addressing behavior games, responding to complaints, making last minute adjustments with officials or staffing or transportation. This is typically something comes up and arises every day, so balancing that with full-time teaching on Monday and Fridays can present its challenges. And lastly, for me, for numbers, I know you guys wanted to see participation numbers. So a little feedback on that. Our overall athletic participation remains strong with approximately 67% of our student body involved in one or more sport. This high rate reflects strong engagement and pride in our programs with steady numbers in core sports like football, boys basketball, and volleyball. Continue to increase in cross country and track. Healthy numbers of our athletes compete in multiple sports, which supports well-rounded development and helps sustain participation across all seasons. Nationally, numbers are increasing for all sports. Growth has been especially strong in girls athletics, with the exception of girls basketball. Girls wrestling, girls flag football are growing at a fast rate too. So something to think about in the future. Our school's participation rate is well above the national average, which is 40 to 45%. I don't know if Shawn was on, if you wanted to interject with the participation rates.
No, all's good, Brandon. I think that sounds good. It's interesting to see. We haven't done like a 6-year study like that to pull numbers, but I didn't know we had that many students in athletics, which is great at that 67%. That's very high compared to other schools I've been at myself. Obviously would love to have more, but I think that's a really good point where we're at. And hopefully we continue to grow that. I think middle school's close as well. I think they have 67 out of their 2 grade levels. And I don't know the 2 grade levels off the top of my head unless Mr. Henning does, but 67 students in middle school participate in middle school sports. So we do have high numbers, which is great.
Yeah. So, in closing for me, it's been a busy but productive start, and I'm excited about the direction we're heading in and trying to strengthen our culture and support our coaches and increase visibility and pride in our Waterloo athletics. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No.
Thanks for the report. Brandon, I don't see any questions in the room.
Very good.
All right, we will move on to additional board reports. We have student representatives present, so we'll request a student representative.
Okay. So we've had the start of the school year, and on our first day we had an assembly where staff did some introduction. We did our spirit stick competition, and student council did a lightning game. So far we've had some class meetings to discuss homecoming and review handbook expectations, and seniors also had a meeting for their caps and gowns. Open campus began in September. Only seniors can qualify for open campus in term 1. It's based on meeting their ACT scores from their junior year. Field trips, AP Language and Honors English 2 went to the American Players Theater in Spring Green and saw A Midnight Summer Dream. Patriots Club went to the Forest Hill Cemetery. FFA went to a fall leadership workshop. They took 3 officers to a leadership workshop in Beaver Dam to learn leadership skills and learn more about the responsibilities in their respective offices. FFA also took 53 students last Tuesday to World Dairy Expo. There was also a manufacturing event at the Bobcat in Johnson Creek. Flex time, 9th and 10th grade students have been taking practice ACT tests. 11th grade students will take their practice test this winter. All students did a career activity to learn more about their futures, and we will do more of these activities after homecoming. The Viv 18 assembly, next Monday we will have an all-school assembly where youth advocate presenter will talk about youth mental health. The presenter will work with student council the entire week, and there is also a parent night next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. during high school conferences. Homecoming, the homecoming theme is fairy tales. 9th grade is Jack and the Beanstalk. 10th grade is Little Red Riding Hood. 11th grade is Goldilocks and the Three Bears. 12th grade is Rapunzel, and the staff are the Three Little Pigs.
For our dress-up days, Monday was pajama day, Tuesday camo, Wednesday was dressed like an age group, Thursday was theme day, and Friday will be maroon and gold or powder puff shirts. For our dance itself, it's fairy tale or fantasy theme, and it's Saturday, October 11th, which is this Saturday from 7 to 10. And some other activities we've been doing, we have float building, hallway decorating, board painting, macho volleyball, which has been going on today and tomorrow during Flex. Our parade is tomorrow at 6, which also includes skit night at 7. And we will have a school walkthrough parade for our homecoming court, and powder puff games will be Thursday and Friday, which families can come in and support their students, which will also have junior prom concession stands for after. For fall sports, cross country, they're doing pretty good overall and having a lot of new people joining and have been having good improvement and consistency. Football plays Deerfield this homecoming game, and I could see myself, they definitely improved from last year. And volleyball has also been doing good, and they've made a bunch of improvements from last year. And then Monday, we had winter sports meetings.
Do you guys have any questions for us? Yes, Mr. Craig.
The theme of the dance is fantasy,
Fairy tale fantasy.
fairy tale fantasy.
Older. Because all of the grades have a different fairy tale.
Okay, so if there's a cute guy at the dance, is that a fairy tale fantasy?
Well, it might be some girls, you never know.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to our administrative report, starting with Mr. Bartelt about advanced placement scores.
Just want to give a quick update for our advanced placement or AP scores and recognition that we've received from this past school year, and the award is recognized for this school year. I believe in your packets you have a outline of where our AP scores have been for the past 5 years, and also the number of students, number of exams taken, and with AP exams, they get scored in a 1 to 5. So if you get a 3 or higher, almost all colleges will recognize that as some type of credit at that college. So for being a smaller school district, we offer a lot of AP classes. AP Calc, Stats, Computer Science, US History, European History, Literature, Language, Psychology, Chemistry, and Biology. So we offer 10 different classes. Each year we range from about 7 to 9. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to take AP classes here in the high school. And Ms. Scherenbrock, Mr. Seefeld, Mr. Setz, Mrs. Holden, Mrs. Schimmelfenig, Mr. Weedle, and Ms. Burns are part of this award that we received from last school year with our AP classes. We've had the highest pass rate ever in Waterloo. It was an 81% pass rate, which means 81% of our students taking tests had a 3 or higher. In 2021, it was 41, then 40. Now we bumped up to 78, 63, and this past year is 81% pass rate. So I know our staff are putting a lot of time into those AP tests when they happen in early May. They're putting practice tests on. They're assessing students throughout to ensure that they can, be successful on that test. So 81% is very unheard of in schools to have that high of a pass rate with AP classes. So part of the reason for that as well, not only the work the staff are putting in, but also we are making changes to our course options. So in the past, we haven't had many options for students to take as electives. Some of those have been AP. So some of those students maybe aren't taking AP classes and they're going out to youth apprenticeship and working instead, or taking a dual credit class. So we're ensuring students are in the right classes as well, which has been helpful to get those pass rates where they should be. So again, shout out to the staff for really putting in the time, and then also our students putting in the studying for those tests as well. Any questions with AP and the pass rates that we've had?
I guess I just have one question about the way this data is reported, right? So it's at 81% of the students that take any exam get a 3, not of total exams.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, you're exactly right. Yep. And students in AP classes have the choice to take the exam or not. So if they feel comfortable, let's say there's 20 students in AP psychology, maybe only 10 will take the test. Not all of them are required to do. We kind of expose students, this is what a college class could look like. The test range, I think they're like $98 right now to take the test. So again, $98, you pass that test. 3 credits in college could range anywhere from $500 to $2,000. So it's definitely a money saver for students to do that.
And my other question is it hasn't been our experience that a 3 gets credit anymore. So it's several public institutions, a 4 or better is now required for credit. So
there's still a good amount that is 3 or higher. I will say a lot of our UW, like Division III schools, that's some things. I know if you're looking maybe at a Madison, sometimes it will depend on the class. An Ivy League school will depend on the class a little bit more, but the more local schools, kind of the Division III, the YX schools are all 3 or higher at this time. But yes, you have to work with the colleges to see what their requirements are too. Thank you.
yeah, does anybody else have any other questions?
Nope, now I understand the charts.
The data.
Yeah, right?
Then we'll move on to Ms. Ziemann for her administrative report.
Good evening. I am going to take this opportunity to highlight some of the work that my teacher leaders have been doing. We call our group of teacher leaders the Guiding Coalition, and they have decided that they are going to hold a grade level challenge to help us reduce the number of tardies in the middle school. When we talk about readiness and durable skills, being on time is a skill that students will need to have. And as a guiding coalition, we believe that all staff have the ability to help reduce the number of tardies. So as part of the challenge, the guiding coalition has the following expectations. It is the expectation that staff are in the hallways during passing time, During the month of October, the Pirate Time teachers are going to teach the skill of time management, and a lesson plan was created and shared with the staff. Each Pirate Time will create a poster talking about the importance of being on time, and they'll hang that poster out in the hallway outside their Pirate Time classroom. The Guiding Coalition expects that all staff accurately mark students tardy when they're late to class, and document that tardy also as a behavior referral in Skyward. And in our student and family handbook, we have outlined the different procedures for when students get 1 tardy or 2 tardy or 3 or 4 or more. The grade level with the least amount of tardies for the month of October will earn an extra recess during Pirate Time on October 29th. So this group of teachers have decided to tackle this problem, and they have put this plan in place. I'm proud of the conversations and the work that they have done, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Ms. Ziemann. Are there any questions?
No. Well, I just have to say, from some of the expulsion hearings we've had over the years, quite often we find a lot of those kids that are in that position, tardiness has been a challenge too for quite some time. So it's good to see it's being addressed here in a different manner at a young age.
Yeah, and we believe that instruction is part of that. And so by teaching them how important time management is, it will reduce that number.
Any other questions for Ms. Ziemann? Thank you. We will move on to Holly for her report on back to school.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna let my school picture looks better than I look right now. I'm fighting a little bit of a cold right now, so maybe just my voice is better than my face today. But I'm gonna share with you our beginning of the school year. We've had a really great, strong start to the school year. I always ask my teachers to give me, during PLCs, to give me some insight, how do they think the beginning of the school year went, and so many of them are like, the kids are hitting the ground running, they're building a really strong sense of classroom community, they're looking out for each other. We're right now in the throes of a lot of assessments. We finished our STAR assessment, and now we're starting Act 20 assessments. There's some changes to Act 20, and one of the changes is our 4K students are doing the Ames Web assessment this fall instead of last year when they just did it in the spring. So those teachers, again, are remarkable people, and they have done a great job of creating a routine of how to make that assessment just part of what they do during the day. 4K is just, we had a 4K student at the beginning of the year win a trip on the fire truck, and that was the second week of school. It could have gone terribly wrong, but it didn't. They are just a really strong bunch of people in 4K. They have a field trip coming up in 4K to the pumpkin patch next week that they're very excited about. They're picking up their routines and procedures really quickly. They look like pros in the lunchroom, they really do. Kindergarten is doing a great job. They have a field trip coming up. Same thing. Everybody is talking about how well their students are doing on assessments, and what a strong community, and how kids are just ready to get going, and how they're jumping right into our phonics instruction. Strong start to school year. Everyone's being really helpful. Our new 3rd grade teacher could not be more pleased with how helpful everyone has been to her and helping her with learning all the Waterloo way stuff. 4th grade is doing amazing. We started that Quick Trip was offering a QuickBooks program. It's kind of like Pizza Hut Bucket, if you remember from maybe your kids, or maybe you got to get a free pizza from the Pizza Hut. It's kind of the same thing. Quick Trip is doing it with a free pizza slice or a free salad. You never know. And each classroom teacher is able to kind of create their own reading goal for their students, and then they earn this quick trip pizza certificate that they can take to the quick trip and get their free pizza or salad. And they did a great job. One of the fourth grade teachers said 100% of her students participated in that through nightly reading. This class read approximately 1 billion words in September alone. So believe that if you will, but that is what she reported. So we're really excited about that program. Like I said, we're having a great start of the school year. Questions for me?
Anybody have questions for Holly at this time? I don't see any questions, Holly, thank you, I hope you feel better.
Oh, thanks.
And then we'll move on to Michele Armentrout for her report on the beginning of the school year.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm going to present my screen, and is that showing up okay for everyone?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so my update for the start of the school year is going to focus on our grants, and the first grant is going to be kind of a review and update. This is the ES3 grant, or the Enhancing Social Emotional Skills with Students with IEPs. This was a grant that was awarded to us last year and will follow us for the next 2 years, so we're in year 2 of 3. And just to update you and remind you that the goal of this grant is to provide public school districts with structures and processes to identify and support the beliefs, skills, and systems needed to improve outcomes for students with IEPs. So we, as being one of the 4 grant recipients in the state last year, are supported by statewide coordinators who assist us and their teams through coaching, training, resources to implement evidence-based improvement strategies, and support the growth of students with significantly divergent social and emotional learning needs. So just to highlight, last year we had 6 staff members that participated in a year-long training throughout the school year. We began a root cause analysis on our case studies, so teachers selected a couple of students with IEPs to do that with, and then selected evidence-based improvement strategies to implement with fidelity checklists. We also participated through the grant in some adult learning, so Katie Bird came to visit us a couple of times and presented on supporting neurodiverse students. And then over the summer, all staff participated in enhancing engagement for all learners. That was presented by Jen Townsend and Matt Hayden. In the second year of this grant, we did refine our goal a little bit, and the team decided that our focus would be on really looking at creating independence pathways for our students receiving special education, with the belief that through that independent skill building, we'll see improved outcomes in engagement. We're going to continue with our adult learning strategies and coaching support for regular ed teachers and paraprofessionals. And this will be a big year for data collection and progress monitoring, monthly coaching meetings, implementation and fidelity checks, and all of this is run through a plan, do, study, act cycle. So we use that structure. The second grant that I want to share is a new grant that we were awarded this year. It is a grant that Waterloo has received maybe 4 or 5 years ago. No, it was before me, so it was even longer, 6 or 7 years ago. But we were awarded the Transition Readiness Grant for the year for $31,990. This program is designed to support Wisconsin students with disabilities to successfully transition to competitive work and post-secondary education environments after high school. Our award included 3 areas. $15,000 goes towards competitive integrated employment. $13,000 supports our transportation, and then just under $4,000 supports staff training around transition. And so we just recently met with our high school team to currently work on matching students with different opportunities, different businesses in the area, different outreach, and then determining our staff training. So we're in just the beginning stages of this particular grant, but we're very excited about the opportunities that it brings our students that are gaining those transition skills. And then the last grant that we were awarded is also a new grant that I'm very excited to share with you. This grant is social emotional engagement, knowledge and skills to increase all learner engagement in the classroom. This is a grant that the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation in their capacity building grant awarded us over the course of 3 years to support increasing student engagement in the classroom. And so what's very interesting about this grant, it follows a framework for social emotional engagement, knowledge and skills, to enhance positive learning climate in the classroom, at home and community settings. The focus is really on learner engagement within natural routines by fostering what we call the 3 I's: investment, independence, and initiation. And this is a cohort model that, again, like I said, will be supported over the course of 3 years. And the professional development approach, I'm really, really fond of because it's a staff peer-to-peer mentorship versus professional development that's brought to staff that they kind of sit and get. This is more of a boots on the ground, training, coaching, supporting, and we start it with smaller cohorts and then grow it bigger and bigger as the years go on. So this one hasn't started yet. It will begin the work in November, but we're starting to get things ready for it. But pretty exciting stuff. Any questions on the 3 grant updates?
Anybody have any questions for Michele?
I have a comment. Congratulations. This is really huge. It's really
It's
exciting.
exciting.
Yeah.
We're very, very excited.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. Thank you. Okay, that completes our administrative reports. We will move on to the approval of bills and vouchers. You all should have received in your board and home packet copies of the bills and vouchers. Anybody have any questions that they have not yet had answered?
I will so move for approval of all 3 documents.
I'll use the second. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Craig and a second by Ms. Cummings to approve the the bills and vouchers, including the treasurer's report, the review of the superintendent's list of dispersings through September, and a review of the district receipts for the month of September. All those in favor?
Roll call vote.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. That is a roll call vote.
Crave, yes.
Jurgis, yes.
Cummings, yes.
Dolphin, yes.
And Qualley, yes. So that passes on a 6-0 vote. That takes us to announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
I do. All right, yesterday I attended the District 12 meeting at Trapper's Turn in Wisconsin Dells. I got there, there's someone from Dodgeland there. So they're in District 12, we're in District 10. But it's very nice, I received my level 2 certification. We had a speaker presentation beforehand. Students can't learn if they're not there. Massive amount of legal rules pertaining to student engagement. Our administration knows that way better than I do, but really the core root of a lot of students not being in school is family circumstances. We all know that, social economic pressures, where you might not have a sitter or transportation or be able to make the bus in the morning because somebody's working a difficult shift. So some of the things that have been done is just really trying to have community and peer-to-peer engagement with some of these families and individuals to get them into school. It's a major challenge. I sat next to a fellow from Adams Friendship. I can't remember the massive amount of real estate they cover up there, but many kids right on the bus for right up to an hour. It's just massive school district. I think 85 to 90% qualify for free or reduced meals, so there's just a lot of challenges. So while we might not have some of those challenges, I think when I see some of the outreach that Michelle talked about, I think even on a broader scale, some of the outreach to make sure that people are here and they can build that community and feel welcome. So one of the last questions or examples that was shared is, one of the presenters said when he was at a school, they had a student, after 4 months, he was up for expulsion because of selling marijuana or something. And they said, "You never did this before." "No." "Well, what do you like?" I love fishing. I don't know anybody in this town, I don't know where to go fishing, and I just feel bad. And they said, "Well, we really dropped the ball. The fishing club is one of the largest clubs we have here in our school district." But nobody had shared that or welcomed him. So, all the way from, obviously from the board on down, to make sure that we help people feel really welcome in our school and make that extra effort to help get them there. And that's my conclusion of the meeting. Great to represent Waterloo, even though it wasn't our district. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any other announcements? All right, well, we will move to public input. Is there anybody wishing to present public input?
All three of us.
Okay, prior to presenting public input, we just ask that you tell us your name and that you have registered on the list.
Yes, I do. Hi, I'm Lynn Von Human, and I live in the district. My kids graduated from the Waterloo schools, and I have to let you know that these schools prepared them for the wider world, and, you know, I feel very positive about our local school. I have handouts to give to everybody on the board when I'm done, and also to Mr. Henry and anyone else who's interested. I'm concerned about the timeline of the ESSER III funding, and I have questions on how the district ran out of time to solicit and review sealed bids for the ag building. A September 4th, 2025 article in the Leader Independent revealed that the Waterloo School Board violated its own policy on sealed bids for projects. The article states that the district felt constrained by various deadlines. So I looked up on the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, where they described the deadlines in using these ESSER, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund grant monies. And the ESSER 3 grant performance period was March 13th, 2020 through September 30th, 2024. The ESSER 3 grant allocations, when you actually got the money, was October 14th, 2022. All ESSER 3 funds had to be obligated by September 30th, 2024. This means the district had 4.5 years to plan what to do with these ESSER 3 funds and received the grant money almost 2 years before the funds had to be obligated. This should have been enough time to plan to get sealed bids and to select a contractor. So my questions to the board, I have two. One is, why did you run out of time to solicit bids for this project? And two, in the Leader Telegraph article, the district states that you also felt constrained by informal discussions that vendors were unlikely to bid on the project. And my question is, without actually putting the project out for bids, why do you assume that other vendors were unlikely likely to bid on it. So I respectfully request the board to provide a response to these questions, either at the next regular board meeting or through an official statement. Thank you.
I'm the second person. So my name is Lisa Herchert, and I have been a parent of the Waterloo School District and a resident of Waterloo for over 30 years. My daughter went to school here, Autumn Herchert, and she was even on the school board for a while. And she also received a great start to life, and she's doing really well. So I have a letter to read. We received the August 28th email from the school district and also read the article in the Leader Independent titled Waterloo School Board Violates Policy on Sealed Bids for New Ag Building. The article quoted Brian Henning as saying the district felt constrained by various deadlines and other obligations, as well as informal discussions indicating that vendors were unlikely to bid on the project. Under these constraints, it is my understanding that there were no bids sought for this work. Only Cleary Building Corporation submitted a plan, which was accepted. The facts are, Matt Schneider, as school board president, is a public officer. As vice president of operations for the selected contractor Cleary Building Corp., Schneider has a private financial interest in the form of salary, dividends, advancements, you name it. He's vice president on the leadership team. In Cleary Building Corp. And in the Ag Building Project. Cleary Building Corp. Bid on the project and negotiated with the district, while Schneider, as board president, was authorized to act for the board. As school board president, Schneider has authority or influence with respect to awarding contracts, approving bids, overseeing projects, participating in the direction-making process, or exercising discretion. It is on record that Matthew Schneider said at the board meeting, it's recommended to approve the plans and costs for the building as presented so the project can get started as quickly as possible. According to the February 26th committee minutes, Schneider brought renderings of the building to share. Both of these actions are examples of Schneider's participation in discussions and decisions about the project. The August 30 article, Waterloo School Board Violates Policy on Sealed Bids for New Ag Building, reported that Schneider, as Vice President of Operations for Cleary Building Corp., abstained from vote to approve the plans and costs of the project. But Cleary Building Corp. Had already been selected at that point, is my understanding. My question is, do Matthew Schneider's dual roles, representing both the school district and the contractor selected for the Ag Building Project, create a conflict of interest under Wisconsin Statute 946.13, which prohibits public officials from participating in or authorizing contracts in which they hold a private financial interest? Does it also violate the Waterloo School Board Ethics and Conflicts of Interest policy? This issue has raised serious concerns about transparency, ethics, and public trust. Even if Schneider abstained from voting for awarding the contract to Cleary Building Corp., Wisconsin's conflict of interest law extends beyond voting to include participating in or authorizing contracts in which he holds a private financial interest. At the very least, the fact that the district sought bids from only one contractor, and that contractor happens to employ the school board president in a leadership role, erodes public confidence in the board's integrity. I respectfully request that the board provide a written response to this question, ideally reviewed by independent legal counsel, and communicate that
that response publicly at the next regular board meeting or through an official statement. Transparency in this matter is essential to restoring public confidence in the governance of our schools. Thank you for your attention and for your commitment to ethical leadership. I'm going to hand out a copy of my letter and the statute and the policy.
Thank you.
I have 2 copies left if anyone wants one. Thank you for hearing me.
Is there anyone else that would like to present?
I'm next. I'm Glenn Day, and I am just a resident of the school district. And I'm here to comment on the public statement of the Waterloo School Board, August 28, 2025, evidence of policy violation. I'm interested in the last paragraph, and that was the apology to the community. I quote, "The board is sincerely apologetic for this violation and is dedicated to regaining the public's trust and adhering to its policies moving forward. The board is also exploring opportunities for additional training and support. This has certainly been a learning experience for everyone involved. The board members thank the community for its patience as they address this important matter." End quote. This apology is of no value if it is not followed by action and a true desire to regain the trust of the community. On June 12, 2024, the school board approved moving forward with the construction of the new agricultural building. After watching the video of the meeting, it appeared to me as though the board members were just receiving the proposal. They asked questions about the timeline of the funds, possible other uses of the funds, and desired outcome for the use of the building. Did the board members have all the information they needed to approve this proposal? If not, why not? If so, I think the community would be interested to know if there were any questions, discussions of possible ramifications, or concerns of how the public would perceive this decision. I'm not sure what the additional training and support the apology is referring to, but I think a quick survey of the community you represent, will give you some of the answers you need. If indeed you are truly looking to regain the trust of the public, a very good place to begin is to practice transparency, not look for loopholes in your policies. I understand that every item brought before the board I understand that not every item that is brought before the board needs to be thoroughly discussed at public meetings. However, it is possible to share your individual input, show what your process is, or give some insight to the reasoning behind your decisions. Allowing honest, thoughtful discussion would be very helpful for the community and for the board members as well. Within your public input policy, it states, residents are asked to limit comments and opinions to items on the agenda only. Questions or comments by the public will not be responded to by the board. My understanding of this section is that this is the only opportunity for the public to let you know what is important to them regarding the current agenda. The only opportunity to express opinions or concerns, ask questions, or maybe provide additional information to the issue at hand. An email or letter to the board may get lost in the shuffle, so when else would be a good time for you to acknowledge our input? Of course, the board need not respond to all comments, but to recognize that the resident was heard, or say, yes, we did consider that, or here's why we went in a different direction, or maybe even incorporate a good point that might tweak or alter the decision. A respectful rapport with the residents who are taking the time to attend and speak will go a long way building trust. We are all in this together. Who knows, participation might even make your jobs easier. Respectfully submitted. And I have a copy of that if you want.
I'll make sure everybody else gets it. Is there anybody else wishing to give public input tonight? Alright. Thank you. We will move into new business. We have several items of new business on the agenda, first of which is staff positions. In your board informer packet, we were informed of 3 or 4 new hires, oh, no, 3 new hires and 1 resignation in the district. Are there any questions that haven't been answered about those positions?
I'll make a motion to approve the staff positions as presented.
Thank you, Chad. I have a motion by Mr. Yurgis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jerry. We have a motion to approve the staff positions as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Our next action item on the agenda is our snowplow bids. In our board informer packet, there were 3 companies, I believe, is that correct? 3 company bids associated with our snowplow contracts. We have a recommendation from our administrative team to consider the Sheehy, thank you, excavating Inc. bid. Is there any conversation about our snowplow bids?
Here we can ask some questions.
Okay.
You don't want?
Fire away. Or
Anybody
I
have
could
any-
just give you a little background if you want.
Who are you representing?
She Excavating,
And your name is?
Jeremy Ellis.
Thank you.
Some
You want
of
to
you
give
have,
us a little spiel about your
I've
bid?
seen a lot of you around, know you, some you may not know me. But we do snow plowing in the winter, excavating in the summer. I kind of head up the snow plowing division. I've had over 25 years' experience in snow plowing, from in Madison to hospitals, to apartment complexes, to residential. And I've also worked at the Dane County Highway Department and plowed interstates and highways, so plowing is nothing that I don't know. I think what's unique about us is my training at the Highway Department taught us a lot about salt usage and how to plow. A lot of people think that when you go plow, you're just pushing off the white stuff and that's it. But it's actually kind of a science to pay attention to the pavement temps to see if the salt's gonna actually work. So when this opportunity arose, this is kind of like right up my alley. Because not only one, I graduated from here, so I still have my pirate pride, but I also have a kid that goes to school, plus I know a lot of the kids in the school. So first and foremost, safety for the faculty, the community members, and the students are number 1 to me. So it's not just to go plow your parking lots and salt it and collect the check, because there are a lot of times where you might not have to plow and just salt. So I'm also looking at the financial aspect for the Waterloo School District to save them money also.
I got a question. What is like your response time for like snow and ice or salt?
Some of our other accounts that we have are no like timeline, they're like mid-morning. We do not have anything at early in the morning. So first and foremost, the school is our top priority, and we are only right over by St. John's. So we're right in town. So if the midday storm comes, we'll be here. If the freezing rain comes in, we're gonna be here.
I got another question, sorry. Did you not bid it last year, or is it every 3 years that we do this, or? Okay, it's every, okay, so.
2 years we did not bid it because we did not have the proper equipment. Since then, we have built our equipment up, and to be honest with you, we have enough equipment to probably plow about every business in town by the time they open.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for answering my questions.
Is that 2-yard capacity salter big enough, you think, or would you look at getting something a little bit larger?
If we needed did something larger, it's obviously something we would look at, but seeing that we're right across town, I'm guessing that these parking lots, from my experience, are probably about 4 yards of salt to salt it. So it's gonna take 10 minutes to run over and fill it back up.
That was my assumptions as well.
And also, if it ever came down to it, we haul sand for a lot of farmers, so if we did have a severe ice storm and it was really cold that the salt isn't gonna work, we also have the capability of at least putting sand down so there's traction for the vehicles and the kids.
I'll make a motion to award G excavating snow contract for 2025, 2026, 2026, and 2027 snow.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Yurgis, seconded by Mr. Fari to approve Sheehy for our snow plowing contract. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
We have our next action item on the agenda is our sports participation. It says an action discussion. Is there
Yeah,
any-
we weren't entirely sure, after last meeting, what action the board might want to take. I know you had instructed the board to get those numbers for you. So based on seeing those numbers, the administration's not recommending anything be changed, but certainly if you want to have that discussion and take some sort of action after reviewing the data, it's on the agenda, so you could do that.
Well, I think it was good to see the data. It's nice to hear that our participation numbers are above the national average. Being in small districts, we don't have large numbers of our students participating. We don't have a large number of athletic opportunities, so it's nice that they're being able to do that. In terms of action around the data, I can't think of any action. Is there anybody else that has anything
Nope.
in mind?
But I was happy to hear the data.
Very pleased.
Okay. Is there any other discussion about this topic? Okay, keep it moving, guys. Next on our agenda for action and discussion is a review of the 25-26 detailed budget. I believe we probably all have this lovely document mailed to our homes for review. And this is open for discussion and any action that may need to be taken. Comments from Susie or Brian about the detailed budget?
So we are only days away from getting final numbers, and there's always a little bit of discrepancy in what the estimates are versus the final numbers that come in. So we will have that nailed down for the late meeting in October to set the tax levy. But as we reviewed, we are running a deficit budget this year, and certainly at the end of this year we'll be running out of the operating referendum 3-year that we passed. So you have some decisions to make to not only balance the budget, but coming out later in the agenda and what you might do to replace that money from the referendum also.
I have lots of markings on my agenda. I assume some things just got moved from one account line to another account line, and that's why some looked different. Let me give you an example of one that I was looking at, that I was like, oh, that just looks like it must have moved from one thing to another.
I mean, we have to code, I can't switch coding, so it could be just like the way the spending was, so I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, there's some woofer changes, each year, but.
But definitely give us an example of which
Yeah,
one
yeah.
you're looking at, so we can
Fine.
look at it too.
I have to pull my little glasses out, sorry guys.
Well, I have one on page 5. Undifferentiated income.
Oh, I think I took up that too, Charlie.
Right, so from 23 to 24, it was 1.8 million, then 1.9, and now we're talking 1.27. So
It's on page 5 under expenses. It's not revenue.
That makes more sense, okay. Let me get there, sorry. I mean, is it the starting 11?
Yep.
That's everything elementary. So those are your elementary codes. Sorry, yeah, so that's elementary. That's just the whole function code elementary.
All right.
Because they don't have their things split between like math and social studies. It's all one teacher teaching all of it, so it's just one different thing.
Yeah, so I think the question would be is, for fiscal activities 24-25, we're at 1.9, and then budget for 25-26, we're at 1.2. It's a little bit more change than normal.
Yep.
Was there some staffing changes in there that affected that?
Yes, the intermediate had always been under the 11s, but kind of undifferentiated curriculum. And I had been wanting to split that up, and when we took away the, in DPI, the intermediate school, technically I moved those all into the math, the social studies, so those all moved in. So you're gonna see those budgets bigger, because I pulled them out of that undifferentiated curriculum into their true function codes.
So those dollars didn't necessarily get reduced, they're just in a different spot in the back.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep, still there, just put differently with that change in intermediate school.
I had a question on page 8 about non-capital objects under the regular curriculum. There's a significant jump in our expenditure.
So the curriculum definitely changes year to year.
Okay.
So some years you buy math books, sometimes it's social studies, which is, so page 8, what is the?
Page 8, it's non-capital objects. I'm assuming it was like technology curriculum.
For some reason, didn't think to bring that page with me, and I was never on my computer, so I'm like scrolling, and
We just went from 20,000 to 90,000 here, and I was like, oh, I bet we bought something good.
yeah, so that's lumping it all into the 4s,
Okay.
kind of rolling it all up. So if you look here, where's that big? So here's your books. We bought some textbooks here.
Okay.
In the, not specific, so like in the middle school area.
Okay.
So it just depends on where they need a textbook there. Those are gonna jump year to year, depending on what you do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you'll hear that for the people in the curriculum committee, you'll kind of see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since it's easier for you to look at.
Yeah, it is, it really is.
And
I'm
she
sorry.
was on page 8, so I'm on page 8 and 9, and I see art.
Mm-hmm.
And I see, did we have 4 teachers that were teaching art?
So some locations. So when you're looking at those codes, you've got the fund, the tied expense or revenue, and you've got the location. 100 is elementary, 200 was intermediate, which was 5th and 6th, but now we've rolled that into just middle school, which is 300, and this.
Okay, and that would explain this there.
Exactly,
like,
yep, you're gonna see
okay,
zeros and
perfect.
200s, and then 400 is high school, and then 800 is district-wide.
That makes sense.
So you have 2 teachers split across 4 buildings. And then if you see an 800 code, that's a district code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's a good question.
that makes sense to me, that's all art, not just high school. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Good question.
What's our task as a board with the detailed budget for tonight?
Well, I think, first of all, philosophically, where do you want to be at in terms of, do you want to run a deficit budget this year? That's not a good long-term practice. We certainly have a periodically, where do you want us to look and what do you want us to do? We certainly, have some experience and have some ideas about that, but wanted to make sure that we got your input and we're looking in the right directions. So, the $1 million question always is what can we afford to go without? The truth of the matter is over the years of your reduced funding and inflation and competitiveness to get staff in the building, we've made a lot of cuts over the years to try to keep the budget balanced, and funding is not kept up with inflation or the markets that drive staffing and those sorts of things. So there's really nothing that wouldn't hurt the school to cut. Now, there's certainly lots to debate about what's critical and what maybe we can live without, but those are tougher discussions. So if somebody asks me what can we live without, I would say really nothing. We're down to the bare minimums already. So anything that we cut is going to hurt somebody somewhere. So.
Discussion from the board on this topic.
We have to decide tonight what you want to do or what we should recommend doing.
Well, once we set the levy in late October here, it's sort of kind of finalized for the year. I mean, you could go back and change things, I guess. That's not typically done, largely because you'd be pulling rugs out from underneath people in the middle of the school year. Not saying that you couldn't do that, but that's not typically what's done. But we need time to prepare those things and then have discussions with departments or staffing or whatever it is to make those changes. And then there's state statutes that govern, employee renewals and contracts. And then certainly we're going to have some of those similar conversations about the referendum, because what happens if you don't have that $590,000 anymore. So, when you're talking about $750,000, that's not necessarily something that we can just fix overnight. And if we do have those ideas, we want to make sure it aligns philosophically with where you're at as well.
So this is really a discussion for what will wind up being next year's budget, but we will have to have a pretty good idea so we can let staff know if there's gonna be a cut or reduction by early next year.
Like I said, you could still make changes for this year yet. It's getting awful late in the year to do that, but we could. So if you wanted to direct us to do something this year, yeah, we could. But certainly, we would need to start working on those things for next year. And then there's two pictures there, right? There's the deficit that the budget consists of now, and then there's the operating referendum.
So we really need to know by early in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we know where fund balance is at? Because you said we have a healthy fund balance, if we didn't want to.
You have a policy that says we're supposed to maintain right around a 30% fund balance, so we're right at that 30%.
I think last year I had maybe like 33%, but I don't have it.
Give or take. So,
Yeah.
But keep in mind that's not necessarily a pot of money that's just sitting in the bank somewhere. That's the differences between when revenues come in and expenditures go out. So that allows us to not have to short-term borrow, because once we start eroding that fund balance, then all of a sudden when our tax money comes in versus when we have to make payroll, those don't always line up, and so now you're short-term borrowing. So it's not. Fund balances are nice because they allow boards time to think through and make careful decisions and do the right things by the people in your district, but they are valuable for other management tools as well.
I mean, I personally don't think we should be changing the budget this late in the game, meaning making cuts. That's not okay, in my eyes. And I definitely think we need to get serious about talk of the referendum, because obviously that's something we are gonna need. So that's my take on it, and then I think even with that, even if the operating referendum does pass, then maybe that's something that we look at. Because then we're gonna have to look at the budget again for next year, so, that's my take.
I agree. I think we're gonna have to, concede to having that $250,000 loss this year and really hunker down in terms of the potential referendum and budget reviewed for next year. So I think we're in a good spot right now. Sure, I don't like knowing we're gonna be $250,000 in the red, but fortunately, we're in a position to do that. I can assure you from the discussions at the district meeting last night, everybody's got these concerns in public education. Massive challenges.
I'm really not a fan of the deficit budget, but I don't know how we fix it without impacting students at this point, and that's a primary concern for mine. I don't know if there are ways that we could reduce some of that deficit that wouldn't have a significant impact. I'd be in favor of looking at those. And I do think we need to start doing active work around the referendum if we think as a district we're going to have success in April.
So just to recap, we're 250,000-ish short this year, right? And then once the referendum reaches its endpoint, you're upside down an additional 590, so another roughly 600. So you really got to come up with, in some fashion, 850-ish.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to go with the referendum with 590, but you would need to increase that to make up for the deficit this year. Okay.
Yeah, and those are obviously our best assumptions. I mean, we budget $30,000 a year for snow plowing. If it's a long snowy winter, you know, it could increase to 60,000. Then that 250 goes up from there.
Is there a report that we're ever given on class sizes for each class? That's provided?
Yep, we do those usually in January or February with the work available list. I don't know if you remember seeing those or not.
Is there any way we can get either, well, I guess maybe we could look at last year's, that would give us a pretty good idea,
I
right?
think we actually had one last meeting too.
Yeah, last month we had one with the students, but
Yeah.
we can,
We can get it to you again.
yeah.
We didn't bring it tonight, but.
Even myself.
So we need to take action tonight.
You don't
What
need
direction
to.
do you want to go?
We're just giving recommendations.
That's right.
Because the final budget doesn't happen until after, right, we
Our
are,
October,
October
next
27th
October.
meeting, right, that's when we approve the final budget at that meeting, correct? Okay. So this discussion or action would be resulting in anything we want changed prior to the budget coming to that meeting?
Yeah.
The really odd thing is the budget should really happen in like March.
But it doesn't because our final people count in
I
September.
get it, I know why, but you see my point though.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot about school friendly that
in
doesn't make a
other
lot of sense,
situations,
though.
outside of
Conversations with legislators.
Yeah.
I mean, the budget work starts, but we don't get good numbers until so much later.
And that's
Third
what
Friday or
conceptually, I'm
whatever.
at least trying to lay out an idea of, this is when we need to have this problem truly resolved. I mean, we've got enough money in our general fund where we can keep operating without too much of an issue for a year. That's not gonna kill us, but shortly thereafter, we are gonna be.
Yeah, that's the truth of the matter, is good schools will keep a strong fund balance so that when they're faced with these dilemmas, they have a year out that they can make those decisions. It doesn't preclude you from making a decision yet this year, but you definitely need to make one for next year.
Anybody have any action they'd like to take on this topic?
Well, I'll just say to Sarah and Charles on running a deficit, I'm okay with that because it's only $250,000 and
this is in regards to the referendum, did we ever get anywhere with getting the community involved? Like have community members selected? Did we do anything with that?
Yeah, we're working on it. We're actually working on it this week, so we're waiting to kind of hear what you decided on the survey tonight, and then we're gonna call that group together.
And how was that selected? Was it just like random?
We put it in the newsletter a couple times and asked for volunteers,
Okay.
so if somebody's interested in volunteering, you can just contact our office and we'll add them to the list.
Okay.
Right, so again, I'll ask the question, is there any action anybody wants to take on this agenda?
Right. Yeah, the last thing that I would say is, one of the most difficult things about this is that, you know, in a school district, our budget is largely spent on people, right? So we have to pay our electric bill, you have to pay the bus company, you have to pay the snow plowing service. So, and those are really small portions of the budget. The majority of it is people. So, you know, if you wanna go after big savings, that usually affects people. And that's a scary thing for people that are working for you. So while it's tough to make decisions, sometimes the tougher thing is people not knowing what's going. So we just have to make sure that we communicate, and when we do make decisions, people are aware of what they are so that they can react appropriately too.
We will move on to the next action item under new business, and that's the 2024-2025 budget amendments. And these are amendments we need to make as a result of the audit, correct?
And the year end, yeah.
And the year end. And we had those audits presented to us in our packet. Is there any questions or comments for Susie or Brian about this?
So I'm gonna ask, what were the most significant amendments that needed to be addressed?
Well, it's in the change here. Basically, anything over $1,000 has to have an amendment on it. And so I do anything with any changes just to avoid an audit finding. Payment for services, that was a big one. A little changes from revenues, but we changed how we kept our some of our savings, and that had a huge change in our revenue, so that had a change in it. But the main thing was our some payment for services.
No, there's only about 500 lines involved here. So.
I know. It's a total of 25, or just under $25,000. And you know, end result. Did you find it in there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, and I've seen this before. While it's all public and it's still somewhat a challenge to take it all in if you look for much detail, pretty silver sea.
Right. It's not much different than what people do at home, right? So if we put $10,000 in a snow plowing budget and $10,000 in the electricity budget, and one goes over and one goes under, then you move that money to fix it, right? But a budget is your best estimate of what's going to happen for the year, but the reality of it is life plays out how life plays out. So we just have to make sure that we are transparent so that the public is aware that we move that money from one account to the other to make sure that things balance at the end of the year.
I will also move for the approval of the budget amendments.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Craig, seconded by Mr. Dolphin to approve the budget amendments. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Action item F on our new business is the 26 operating referendum. A hot topic. We have a proposal from administration in our board informer packet that suggests we move forward with an operating referendum of $590,000 reoccurring, which would be the same that we had asked for in the past, so there would be no tax impact from our previously incurred operating referendum. Is there discussion on this topic? People have made
Yeah, we're largely just trying to get the discussion started, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe the survey drives that, but we didn't know which one you wanted to deal with first. So you don't need to do a survey if you're not doing a referendum, but maybe you want to do a survey to find out if you're going to do a referendum. It's just whatever you want to, which way you want to handle it tonight. But yeah, I would say that, you know, you certainly can have discussions about a second question, but my opinion is that at a bare minimum, you have to go for the 590 again, right? We just talked about that. So if whether there's a second question for more, that's up to you, but I don't know how we get away from the 590. And the good part about it is it would be a $0 tax impact. So that's a little bit more palatable than sometimes talking about raising people's taxes hundreds or thousands of dollars.
When do we want to know about the survey? When would it have to be?
That's our next action
Yeah.
item.
Yeah, we would want to get that out in the coming weeks for certain, for sure.
Well, I see no way around it that we definitely need the referendum. If we don't, it's gonna, you either got all your programs.
I think if we, my only hesitation is we could find out areas that we could potentially cut to save the $250,000. We could also propose, you know, two options. One is just basically continuing the existing referendum, which is a zero impact. And then if we wanted to come up with the additional $250 here, the choices you have, you either cut these programs, these things that we're doing right now, or you go another $250,000 or $300,000 or whatever we decide. The problem is you really kind of have to have those items in line, otherwise it's just a fictitious amount. So if we don't have that ready to go, which we don't, that's going to take months to get to, then we're probably just better off asking the one question. If we propose $590,000, which is the continuing, what's the likelihood that that would pass, and that'll give us a good idea of the appetite for something more or less.
Yeah. The one thing that we did learn 3 years ago, which isn't always the case, but I think people are fairly familiar with the funding pitfalls of schools and education and those sorts of things, but last time people were really wanting to know the specifics of, you know, okay, if I don't vote for this, then what are we going to lose? So we probably have to end up making a list of, you know, what you're going to get rid of if you don't get the 590 also, which, you know, there's two philosophies about that, and I cautioned the board, you know, 3 years ago, because that tends to create climate and culture issues when you're talking about cutting programs and those types of things. But, you know, that is what our community asked for, so we'll probably have to put that together again as well.
And you're saying we want that in the questionnaire before we send that out?
Well, that would be certainly something that you could flesh out in a survey, but ultimately if people come and say, you know, why do you need the $590,000 again, they're probably not going to be happy if I just say, well, because we don't have enough money. They're going to want to know what they're going to lose if we don't have it. And that, you know, that's certainly another question, right?
Yeah, I think we need to come up with that relatively soon. I would say something tonight. We haven't even put any ideas on the board yet.
No, I think the question on the agenda for tonight is if we want to move forward with working on a 2026 operating referendum.
Oh,
That's the first action on.
That's going to be pretty unanimous, right?
I think
if I understand you correct, Brian, we can propose when we put the referendum to vote in April, as we create it, we can do one question that just puts it out with the 590 as we've asked for in the past. And then a second question, which would ask for additional funding if we feel like a survey from our community and the board sees fit to do that. Am I correct? Am I
You
understanding?
can ask up to 2 questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I would move forward with a motion to propose that we go for operating referendum in the amount of $590,000 reoccurring. We did a 3-year term last time, I'm gonna say a 3-year term. I hesitate to not say 5, but I'm gonna say a 3-year term. So my motion is to move forward with a operating referendum for $390,000 reoccurring for a 3-year term. 590.
You said 390.
Oh, did I say 3? Sorry, Chad, 500.
Yeah, so, and the word, I don't know if you remember, Sheena talked about this, but the word recurring, that sort of indicates perpetual.
Okay,
So it would be non-reoccurring if you wanted to put a limit.
a limit on it,
Yes.
okay, thank you. So, I will amend that to say, I would make a motion that we put forward an operating referendum for $590,000 for a 3-year term.
How many's the second?
You don't want to go to recurring, you want to go to 3.
I did a 3-year, that's how I proposed it, yes. Do you want to have additional discussion about that, Charlie?
Yes, I prefer the recurring rather than the 3-year term, because otherwise you're always looking out there. What do I have to save, because I got this referendum always on the horizon. And it creates, I imagine it creates a bit of uncertainty with the staff. If I was hired, moved to Waterloo, and knew that they had to pass a referendum within the next year or 2 to keep my position, that would give me the warm and fuzzies. I think to have a recurring referendum presents certainty to our school district, to the programs, and even to the general community.
And I will say I made my motion the way I did from a community perspective, in knowing that potentially this isn't going to be unending in regards to our funding, and that's the direction I came from. I mean, we know that the state of Wisconsin is holding out on education funds, right? There's a surplus in our state. We just need lots of noise and somebody to shake up that state legislature to get funding in the right direction, which is why I saw it the way I saw it.
Brian, what was the rationale last time for us not going for recurring referendum and just doing a 3-year? Was it?
Because it barely passed.
Well, we failed one, remember?
We failed the first
Um,
one.
we failed that.
Recurring?
No,
Yeah.
was it recurring?
No, it was non-recurring, and we went for a longer term and more money, and so then we went back and retooled and shortened it and went non-recurring. So, my feelings is with Charlie. There's a couple things. One, it provides certainty for staff, but 2, there's what's called referendum fatigue, and people just get tired of asking no matter how valid the ask is. And so, I think we're not going to ever not need this money, but should we not need the money, the board certainly has the ability, when you set the levy limit, to under levy by $590,000 if you want to provide that sort of tax break to the community. So it gives you the authority, it doesn't mean you have to exercise it. I think just from a school-wide initiative standpoint, when we start initiatives, they often take 3 to 5 years. It's really unfortunate if you get something going and then have to pull the rug out from underneath it because you didn't pass a referendum that you thought was going to be there. There's all those kinds of things.
Could we put it on the survey, asking the community what they would be more apt to vote for? You know what I'm saying, a 590 reoccurring, 590 3-year, and kind go and it fails, that's not gonna be good. So, yeah, I think we need to get the survey to see what the community would vote for.
I'm just gonna bring us back to procedure because we do have a motion and a second on the floor. And so we should probably just take action on that motion and second.
And we can always
move
amend
forward.
this, like, we could come in another meeting and.
Or we could, I mean, we could not pass that motion and move forward with a different motion if somebody.
Let's vote, yeah, we've got a,
Yeah.
motion and a second, so let's
Yes,
vote.
we have a motion on the floor to move forward with a referendum for a 3-year term at $590,000. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Just me.
Okay. I think that we're all probably very interested in a second question from the conversation that we had here today, and community input on how we move forward, which takes us into our next action item on the agenda, which is a referendum survey. You have a couple of proposals in your board packet from different companies, often help us with this survey. Everybody's had a chance to review those proposals, and I don't know if there's any additional discussion from Mr. Henning about those companies or proposals?
School of Perceptions is the company that we worked with last time, but the Donovan Group is very well known also, so I don't think you can go wrong with either one, and they're almost identical on price. So it's really just whatever you want.
Do you have a preference on who you like to work with?
I think Susie and I talked about that. We didn't love some of the things that School Perceptions did last time, but we also don't have any familiarity directly with Donovan, although we hear good things about them.
I'll just use them and maybe like them, I know.
Donovan?
Donovan presented at the legal conference that Sarah and I went to.
Yes.
They presented on public engagement and public participation, so it's been really good.
Yeah, they both would be fine. So no, we don't have any strong feelings one way or another.
I will move to proceed with Donovan as the vendor of choice for our referendum survey.
Cummins will second.
We have a motion and a second to move forward with working with the Donovan Group for a referendum survey. Any additional discussion or comment on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Then we have a discussion item, agenda item H, career, community, and life readiness work with Scott Carr. See Scott here?
No, Scott's not here, but I did wanna, just mention again, because we've talked about it on and off now for a few months, because we had him scheduled, and then, we had some conflicts, and then we rescheduled him. So Scott is coming on the 27th, and he's planning to work with you, with that career, community, and life readiness work. So that'll also be the night where we, set the tax levy, but we can get through that work in a short period of time, and then spend the rest of the time with Scott in professional development.
Any discussion about that?
Look forward to it.
Action item I on our agenda is the curriculum committee meeting. We had a date set for that. Yeah. October 29th, yes.
Yep, and I know the principals have been working with staff to bring course changes and curriculum proposals, but just wanted to make sure, again, you had an opportunity to make sure it's on your calendars, but also if you wanted anything specific covered that night, to give Christine time to prepare for it on the 29th, so.
At 5 p.m.
Yeah, that's what I have on my calendar. Okay, if anybody has anything they'd like Christine to bring forward, please just communicate with Christine and let her know as far in advance as possible. And everybody's welcome to join us. And then we have future agenda items. Anybody have any agenda items they would like to see on future meetings?
Yeah, did we, that's right. Yeah, we'll talk about it, yeah.
I had to rethink that in my head.
All right, well then I will make the motion to move us into closed session pursuant of Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C, parent E, parent F. The Board of Education may move into a closed session for the purpose of A, discussion of potential action concerning employment and performance evaluation of data on public employees, and Part B, discussion of potential action considering medical, social, and personal histories, disciplinary duty, and Part C, discussion of potential action concerning of an individual's employment of the member of the coaching staff, and Part D, motion and roll call vote. So we will return to open session on Part D. So I have made a motion to move us into closed session. Thank you, Chad. And that is a roll call vote.
Great, yes.
Darius, yes.
Kwame, yes.
Cummings, yes.
Dolphin, yes.
All right, and we will take a